Airports are like human highways in the sky, except instead of traffic jams, you've got security lines, X-ray machines, and an occasional "Sir, is this your bag?" And while most travelers are just trying to get from point A to B with their luggage intact, some show up with carry-ons that make TSA agents do a double take. From a human skull to a massive snake, here are the 15 craziest things found by airport security, and trust us, you won't believe how stupid people can be. Number 15. Boa constrictor. TSA agents at Tampa International Airport had a "you've gotta be kidding me" moment when they spotted a 4-foot-long massive boa constrictor coiled up inside a traveler's roller bag. Snuggled between shoes and toiletries, this snake, affectionately named Bartholomew by its owner, was casually attempting to hitch a ride. X-ray machines don't lie though, and security wasted no time in unzipping the bag to reveal the slithery surprise. The passenger claimed the boa was an emotional support animal, but TSA wasn't buying it. Support hamster? Maybe. Support snake? Well, how can this bad buddy support? While Bartholomew wasn't trying to start an actual in-flight horror movie, the whole situation had agents shaking their heads. The airline refused to let the snake fly, leaving the traveler to either rebook with proper documentation or find a pet that doesn't try to eat people. Well, people can be crazy, and let's wait for the number 10. We're pretty sure it will make you roll your eyes and visit Everest for a deep breath. Number 14. The whole enchilada. Airplane food might be bad, but sneaking a concealed knife inside a burrito isn't the solution. At a security checkpoint, TSA agents unwrapped what they thought was just another foil-wrapped meal, only to find a serrated knife tucked inside. The incident happened at an unnamed airport, and while the passenger wasn't trying to pull a culinary crime spree, it was still a violation of carry-on rules. TSA, ever the kings of dad jokes, took to Instagram to remind travelers, while this was a great catch, the passenger's intent was delicious, not malicious. Always double-check your bags and your enchiladas. The passenger was cleared to fly after surrendering the knife. But this guy proves that if you're going to break the rules, at least make it tasty. Number 13. Samurai swords. For we don't know for what reasons, a passenger at San Jose International Airport in California decided their 3-piece samurai sword set needed to come along for the ride. A true samurai. TSA agents, unsurprisingly, didn't agree with that. Despite clear warnings against carrying weapons onto flights, this determined dude still tried to roll through security with a full-fledged warrior arsenal. The swords were immediately confiscated, but it raised the question, what's TSA's stance on oddly shaped objects? Well, according to their website, lightsabers and Harry Potter, wands are totally fine, but foam toy swords, absolutely not. There's no telling if the passenger genuinely forgot the blades were in their bag or just wanted to test airport security's patience. But either way, they didn't make it past the checkpoint. The moral of the story: if you want to play samurai, stick to your living room. Number 12. Ceremonial scissors. There's a time and place for giant ribbon-cutting scissors, and it's not the airport security line, that's for sure. TSA officers at Nashville International Airport had to confiscate a big ceremonial pair, likely intended for a photo op rather than anything sinister. Still, these dudes don't make exceptions for flair. These aren't any average craft store scissors. Ceremonial shears are huge, often over 3 feet long. Whether the traveler was an enthusiastic city official or just really committed to the big scissors aesthetic, TSA wasn't about to let them through. Safety first. TSA screens 5.5 million carry-on bags a day, so you'd think people would know what's allowed. But somehow, what about comically large scissors? Remains a question they have to answer. For reference, if it looks like it belongs in a cartoon villain's toolkit, it's probably not making it past security. Number 11. Antique cannonball. Bringing a cannonball on a commercial flight is not a good choice. At Kahului Regional Airport in Hawaii, TSA agents were baffled when they found a passenger trying to bring an old cannonball and an antique flare gun through security. Was this person a history enthusiast? We may never know. What we do know is that TSA doesn't play around with potentially explosive artifacts. Even though this cannonball was centuries old, The problem with vintage weaponry is that you can't always tell if it's still alive. That means there was a very real chance this thing could have caused major issues if mishandled. Needless to say, security wasn't about to roll the dice or the cannonball on that risk. The passenger had to part ways with their historical souvenir, and TSA issued a reminder. Just because something is antique doesn't mean it's safe. If it once could explode, it belongs in a museum, not your carry-on. So, the lesson: don't bring cannonballs in place. Number 10. Human skull. TSA officers at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport were in for a shock when a routine screening of clay pots revealed something way more unsettling than pottery. Hidden among the ceramic was a human skull fragment. The passenger, completely oblivious, insisted they had no clue their souvenir contained actual remains. The discovery immediately halted security operations, turning the checkpoint into an impromptu crime scene. Law enforcement was called, forensic experts examined the remains, and suddenly what started as a simple baggage check became a full-blown investigation. While the skull wasn't linked to any criminal activity, TSA still wasn't about to wave it through like an oversized shampoo bottle. This bizarre find serves as a solid reminder. Maybe inspect your travel souvenirs a little closer before packing them in your carry-on. The passenger wasn't charged with anything, but let's be real. Getting detained over accidental skull smuggling isn't exactly a fun vacation story. Number 9. Eels and nearly 200 sea creatures. Packing light? Not this guy. A traveler at Miami International Airport decided their carry-on needed a full-blown marine exhibit. TSA officers found a bag stuffed with live eels, 163 fish, and 22 invertebrates, because apparently flying commercial with a personal aquarium is totally normal behavior. Security flagged the bag during screening, and upon opening it, agents were greeted with a flopping, squirming mess. The traveler's explanation: not great. They either really misunderstood the airline's pet policy, or were attempting a high-stakes wildlife smuggling operation. Spoiler, it didn't work. U.S. Fish and Wildlife officers stepped in to rescue the sea creatures, leaving the passengers to deal with the consequences of their terrible packing choices. TSA confirmed that while emotional support animals are allowed, surprise bags of eels, not so much. Hopefully the creatures made it back to water, but as for the traveler, their travel plans definitely hit a snag. Number 8. Souvenir grenade. When TSA says no weapons, they mean no weapons, even if it's just for decoration. One traveler at Milwaukee Mitchell International Airport learned this lesson the hard way when their totally harmless souvenir grenade triggered a major security alert. During routine screening, TSA officers spotted the grenade-shaped object in a carry-on. And let's just say they weren't about to take any chances. The passenger, clearly confused about how airport security works, explained that they had bought it for their son as a keepsake. But here's the thing. Even replicas and deactivated grenades aren't allowed past security. The result, the grenade was confiscated. The passenger got a nice little citation, and the entire ordeal caused a lovely delay for everyone else in line. If there's a moral here, it's this: if it looks like something that could explode, don't bring it to the airport. TSA does not have a sense of humor about that. Number 7. Moose excrement. Just when you think TSA has seen it all, someone shows up with a bag full of moose poop. That's exactly what happened at Juneau International Airport, where officers had to deal with one passenger's extremely questionable cargo. When asked why they were flying with moose droppings, the traveler did not disappoint. They claimed they collected the feces to send a message to politicians they didn't like. Yep. This wasn't just any bag of poop, it was a political statement. Now, while TSA technically doesn't ban moose excrement, it definitely made for an interesting security screening. Officers determined it wasn't a threat besides being incredibly gross, so the passenger was allowed to board a bag of moose nuggets in tow. TSA later released a statement that basically boiled down to this: please, for the love of all that is sanitary, think twice before bringing foul-smelling items through security. Because nobody wants to be stuck on a plane with a moose poop enthusiast. Number 6. A bird on the body. Smuggling items onto a plane? Not great. Smuggling live birds? Even worse. A woman at a New York airport thought she had cracked the system by taping 2 birds to her body and covering them with socks. TSA, however, was not fooled. Her oversized clothing triggered a pat-down, and that's when officers discovered the tiny panicked birds strapped to her chest and legs. It's unclear whether she thought security wouldn't notice the occasional flapping or if she just had the world's worst poker face. Either way, her attempt at sneaking out endangered species was shut down instantly. U.S. Fish and Wildlife officers arrested her on suspicion of smuggling and violating international wildlife laws. The birds were confiscated, and the woman was taken into custody. So, what's the bottom line? Well, trust us, it's simple. If your travel plans involve stuffing animals into your clothing, reconsider your life choices. TSA will find them. Number 5. The DIY gun that was a bit too DIY. TSA agents are used to spotting firearms, but when a 3D printed revolver fully loaded with live ammo popped up in an X-ray scan, even the most seasoned officers had to do a double take. This wasn't just another pistol tucked into a carry-on. It was a homemade weapon, assembled layer by layer in someone's basement. For reasons that remain a mystery, the passenger either thought airport security wouldn't notice or assumed that a gun built from plastic somehow didn't count as a real firearm. TSA, however, operates on a simple rule. If it fires bullets, it's a gun. End of discussion. The weapon was confiscated immediately, and the traveler was in for a very long conversation with law enforcement. Maybe next time, they'll stick to checking luggage properly instead of testing how much of a weapon can be built on a printer. Number 4. The turtle smuggler's worst idea yet. Security screenings exist for a reason. Not just to stop dangerous items, but also to prevent truly questionable decisions, like stuffing a live turtle inside your pants. That's exactly what happened at Spokane International Airport, when TSA officers noticed a passenger acting a little off. A quick pat down later, and the truth crawled out. Literally. Inside the traveler's clothing was a small turtle, wedged into an extremely uncomfortable hiding spot. The poor reptile, oblivious to the terrible travel plan, was probably just as confused as security. The wild part, TSA actually allows small pets through security, provided they're in proper carriers and approved by the airline. So instead of taking 5 minutes to follow the rules, this genius thought, you know what, I'll just shove it in my pants. The turtle was eventually rescued from its less than ideal hiding place, while the owner was left wondering where it all went wrong. Number 3. A Naruto fan takes things way too far. Luggage screenings at Boston Logan are a daily routine, but every now and then, TSA stumbles upon something that makes them question everything. One such case? A traveler attempting to bring an entire set of Naruto-themed throwing knives in their carry-on. If you've ever watched an anime fight scene, you know these weapons aren't exactly harmless collectibles. These weren't just for show, they were sharp, metal, and very much designed to be thrown at high speed, which, for obvious reasons, is not something that flies well with airport security. The passenger, seemingly unaware that ninjas don't get special TSA exemptions, was stopped immediately. Had they read even one sign at security, they'd know weapons of any kind are banned from carry-ons. Yes, even if they come in a limited edition anime box set. TSA confiscated the knives, leaving the traveler to contemplate whether cosplaying as a ninja was really worth missing their flight. Number 2. The raw chicken. Most people flying with raw poultry are simply bringing home ingredients, but one traveler at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport had a much bolder plan, stashing a firearm inside a raw chicken. That's right, a whole uncooked bird was serving as a makeshift weapons smuggling device. The plan: sneak a disassembled gun through security, buried deep within the cavity of what looked like someone's dinner prep. TSA officers weren't fooled for a second. The X-ray scan immediately revealed something far more concerning than a questionable meal choice, and within minutes, security had recovered a very real, very illegal firearm. Needless to say, the passenger did not make their flight. And while TSA sees plenty of bizarre packing strategies, this one left them with more questions than answers. Who thinks of this? Who assumes raw meat is a safe hiding spot? And most importantly, why was this ever a plan? Number 1. The big teddy bear. TSA officers at Los Angeles International Airport are no strangers to oversized luggage, but even they had to pause when a traveler showed up with a 5-foot-tall teddy bear. At first glance, it seemed innocent enough, until security realized it wasn't just a plush toy. Stuffed inside the bear were several personal belongings, turning it into an unofficial and highly suspicious makeshift suitcase. The issue? Every item brought onto a plane needs to fit inside designated storage areas. This bear, however, needed its own seat, and probably a seatbelt extension. TSA officers had to deny the bear entry, leaving the traveler with one of two choices: check it as oversized baggage, or say goodbye to their fluffy companion. In the end, the giant bear never made it past security, proving once again that if your carry-on has its own zip code, it's probably not getting on the plane. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.